One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hello, everybody. Just checking. Got 5x5 signal. We're all looking good. Everything seems to be working. Good evening. As I put up a poll here, and that poll is who has and who hasn't been to a Trump rally. 86% of the people who have voted so far are telling me you've never been to a Trump rally. At least I hope that you've actually watched a Trump rally, that you actually have tuned in either here or someplace and seen a Trump rally, because if you haven't, you're about to get entertained. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who else might be on the bill in terms of who's going to be talking, but if you've never been to a Trump rally, you're going to be, I think, kind of, you'll be entertained. You'll definitely see some things you don't normally see on the news. And you definitely are going to be amongst friends here tonight. So thank you for coming. Thank you for all showing up. I'm not sure how long we'll be here. President Trump is due up at 9 o'clock. Obviously, it's 8 o'clock right now, so I've got some content I want to share with you. And then we'll see if we can't give away a couple things. Like maybe I didn't have a chance to get the page done, so we'll probably go with like 4 or 5 ounces of silver today instead of the hats, and I'll have the hats ready for Monday. So we'll move forward with that. So let me start with some content, and let's move from there. A lot of stuff going on, so much stuff happening. But I want to start. Robin's always one of those people. I ask, do you want to start with good news or bad news? She always wants to start with bad news. I want to start with good news. I want to start with stuff that shows off MAGA. And since we're waiting for President Trump, let's start off with the good stuff first. How about that?
Breaking now, we begin tonight with President Trump's response to last week's killing of 2 American service members and a civilian interpreter in Syria. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth calls new airstrikes tonight in Syria a declaration of vengeance against ISIS terrorists. We have Fox team coverage on the breaking story. Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv with reaction to the strikes, and Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin starts starts us off with what we know here in Washington. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Brett. A senior U.S. official tells Fox the U.S. military has struck more than 50 ISIS targets in the past 2 hours following the president's order to, quote, hit them hard after the killing of 3 Americans Saturday, 2 members of the Iowa National Guard and their civilian translator by a member of the Syrian security forces. U.S. Central Command launched a massive strike on dozens of ISIS targets in an operation called Operation Hawkeye Strike. Iowa is the Hawkeye state. The strikes took place at multiple locations across Syria. The targets include ISIS infrastructure and weapons storage sites. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth tweeted, quote, "This is not the beginning of a war. It is a declaration of vengeance. The United States of America under President Trump's leadership will never hesitate and never relent to defend our people."
That's a word the Democrats hate. Vengeance. If you slap us, we're going to slap you back. And when you slap President Trump, he's going to slap you 10 times as hard. President Trump posted this on Truth Social. Because of ISIS' vicious killing of brave American patriots in Syria, whose beautiful souls I welcomed home to American soil earlier this week, in a very dignified ceremony, I am hereby announcing that the United States has inflicted very serious retaliation, just as I promised, on the murderous terrorists responsible. I want to stop there for a second, because he's punctuated something by saying, just as I promised. And I want to underscore what he has said in the past. Here's the deadline. If you don't do this, you're going to have hell to pay. And every single time he goes, you better have it done or else. And now here we are once again with somebody who did something, and he came out in public and said, we're going to strike back. It's going to happen. And then it did. He is dropping bombs all over Syria right now. Let's continue. We are striking very strongly against ISIS strongholds in Syria, a place soaked in blood, which has many problems, but one that has a bright future if ISIS can be eradicated. The government of Syria, led by a man who is working very hard to bring greatness back to Syria and is fully in support. Now that's a big thing. So now we know the Syrian government, or the guy who's trying to put together the Syrian government, approved of the strike. All terrorists who are evil enough to attack Americans are hereby warned. You will be hit harder than you have ever been hit before if you in any way attack or threaten the United States. Somebody needs to call Nicolas Maduro right now. We're going to take care of Iran if they don't do the right thing. Iran got dealt with, and over and over and over. And that last line wasn't just for Syria. That last line that he posted there, real quick, all terrorists, all, not just Syria, all terrorists who are evil enough, I'd say stupid enough, to attack Americans are hereby warned. You'll be hit harder than you have ever been hit before if you in any way attack or threaten the United States. So those countries, those dictators, those people who think that they can just go openly threaten the United States, he is not playing around, despite the Democrats crying and whining. And yeah, they're out there crying and whining. Too bad. Well, you didn't get congressional approval. Nope, don't have to. Read your laws. Stop saying BS to CNN. Stop saying BS to MSNBC. Understand what he's doing.
Sergeant William Nate Howard, 29, of Marshalltown, and Sergeant Edgar Torres Tovar, 25, of Des Moines, and their civilian interpreter, Ayad Mansour Sakat of Michigan, returned home in a dignified transfer Wednesday at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, where they were met by the president. The December 13th attack, which took place while a senior U.S. military commander was meeting his Syrian counterparts near Palmyra in central Syria. Afterwards, Syrian security forces helped carry out 10 partnered operations across Syria that led to the death, we're told, or detainment of more than 24 ISIS-affiliated individuals. The U.S. provided support during those raids. Those raids, Brett, led to the confiscation of electronics and individual interviews that resulted in the intelligence intelligence used for this operation to locate potential targets. A CENTCOM review is ongoing into the exact affiliation of the Syrian gunman who joined the security forces just 2 months before. The gunman was in the process, Brett, of being removed from the Syrian military for suspected jihadist ties. Brett?
I mean, Jen, more than 4 dozen targets. That's quite a lot. I mean,
So he hit 48 different targets. You took out 3 Americans, and he hit you back with 48 different bombs or targets thereof. Who knows how many people were in those targets, but he hit 48 separate targets.
That's a lot. It included airstrikes as well as artillery strikes. We'll have to see some of the bomb damage assessment, but this was a very, very broad set of strikes tonight in response to the killing of those Americans.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you. Now let's get reaction from around the...
All right, so I don't know about you, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay. You hit Americans, we're going to hit you back. Now, I know there's some pacifists on both sides, or people who don't like war completely. I don't think anybody likes war, but at a certain point, war is necessary. We have to protect our country. We have to protect our soldiers. We have to protect our way of life. Now we got to do it within. He has made it completely clear that he has no problems taking care of business overseas. We've seen Iran. We see what's going on with Maduro. We get the point. We get it. Don't mess with us in this Western Hemisphere. But now we got to zero in on the scumbags here. That's what we got to start doing.
Trump Media and Technology Group, breaking news this morning, announcing a merger with TAE Technologies, a $6 billion deal that the
This is what I was telling you guys yesterday, and I wanted to dig in and get some more information. Things are so bad, President Trump was able to do a merger for $6 billion. And it's a fusion company. So it's very interesting. As you know, Devin Nunes runs Truth Social and all the different companies surrounding Truth Social, but he was able to do a $6 billion merger.
The company says will blaze the path toward U.S. dominance in AI. It is seeking out a location to bring construction on the world's first utility-scale fusion power plant, subject to required approvals. The move creates one of the first publicly traded fusion companies. Trump Media and Technology Group rising this morning. Take a look at the stock. It is up 24% right now. Had been up better than 30% earlier in the morning when the news first broke. Joining me right now is the CEO of Trump Media and Technology Group, Devin Nunes. Devin, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Great to be with you this morning, Maria. Thank you.
Well, congratulations on this big deal. You've got to explain this to me. I don't understand why a technology company is merging with a nuclear fusion company.
Well, technology is all about energy, Maria. You talk about it every day on your show. It's the biggest vulnerability we have right now in this country. As you know, Truth Social was first started not because the president needed a new company, but because people were being banned by the internet. We built the technology to solve that problem and save free speech. Now we've been looking at what's the biggest issue at the highest level? What do we have to solve for? We have all these data centers coming in. We have AI coming in. And right at the center of that, what all of that needs to operate is energy. We need this country to be energy independent. We need to bring prices down. And if we want to bring industry back and be the capital and the hub for data centers, we're going to have to get nuclear fusion to work.
All right, so that's a little window into the future. That's a window that all of you can now begin looking at. You understand, as I say many times, where the puck is going. And in order for that puck to go where it needs to go, it needs to have some really smooth, slick ice, i.e. known as energy, electricity, nuclear power. And they're already talking about how they're going to be building small power plants, nuclear power plants, all over the place. And so the race to win the AI race, the way Trump wants to do it, you can't do it. It cannot be done without power, a lot of power. So if you understand that right now, like, wait a minute, okay, so they're going to be pushing AI, yes. Elon's going to be pushing AI. Yes. NVIDIA. All these companies are going to be pushing AI. And every single one of them needs power. Well, that should tell you what you should be looking at, right? You got it? You should be looking at places where they're going, and they're going to need power in that area.
Now, look, for 20 years, we bought solar panels and windmills from China. Those policies failed. What the Trump administration is trying to do is actually do real energy, whether it's oil, gas, all the above, but including nuclear. And what we've been out doing is we've scoured the world and the globe to find the best scientists, the top people, the best company. And we want to do nuclear fusion because nuclear fusion, although it was discovered some 75 years ago, nuclear fusion is really the holy grail. The science is there, and the good thing about the company that we're merging with is these have the very best people we have in America. 1,600 patents, 400 scientists, a bunch of award-winning scientists. And they are ready to build. They've been working on this project for 25 years with private funding. The Chuck Schwab family was one of the original investors. Other investors like Google and others have put money into this company. They were looking to go public. And what we did is we said, look, we're a technology, you're a technology company. Let's build the synergies together and let's go out and build the world's first nuclear fusion project. And this project, Maria, is ready to go. That's what they really lack. They've done all the science. They've built 5 models of it, and now it's ready to be built. And that's the key. We have to start doing something in this country that matters, and that's what Trump media is all about. So we've looked for the crown jewel. We found the crown jewel. We built up a tremendous balance sheet over the last year and a half since we went public. And now this is a company with Schwab and others that we can merge this together and get out and build the world's first nuclear fusion plant, which we're going to need.
Wow. I mean, as he's talking, you can obviously hear what's been going on in the background for, over a year. And where they were headed with this all along with the AI. And I know it worries some people about the dangers of nuclear power, but it's unavoidable at this point. All we can do is hope and pray that the people building these nuclear power plants are doing them the right way, and they're making sure that they're correct, because just like with AI, there's no turning back. There's no putting that back in the bottle, although the Democrats want to stifle it. You see, anything that involves prosperity, anything that involves moving forward and progressing. It's funny how they're called the Progressive Party, how the Democrats use that moniker of progressiveness, yet all they want to do is stifle progression. They don't want success. They don't want innovation, because with success and innovation, you don't need as much government. And so as you begin looking and studying and doing your homework on power companies, and you're looking at, FPL or Duke Power, some of the big Con Ed, some of these big power companies may not be the ones that are going to lead in AI, because they're so big, they may not have the functionality like the one they found. They found a relatively small company saying, and they merged with it. They didn't buy it, they merged. And so now Trump and Devin Nunes and whoever else is in this organization now have the ability to have a nuclear power plant. This is absolutely huge moving forward.
The country's going to run out of energy if we don't do something.
Are you expecting Trump media technology to rely on nuclear energy and be independent in terms of using now your own energy from nuclear fusion?
Well, when you really look at this, the size and scope of these plants, so the initial plant will be 50 megawatt, and a lot of people are talking about these smaller plants. But the technology that we're looking at, that we've invested in, is actually will build power plants that are at scale, at size, so anywhere from 350 to 500 megawatts. And not only that, Maria, is nuclear power, if done correctly. Now, remember, in the past with the big nuclear power plants, the costs went out of control, skyrocketed out of control. Nuclear fusion has always been there. It really is the holy grail. It's like the sun.
Right.
But we haven't been able to harness that yet. It just hasn't, the technology, the science. But that's the difference between TAE and all the other nuclear companies out there around the world. This is the one that won't rely on rare earth elements, won't have to rely on a bunch of magnets, and it's the only company that's actually built something. That's what we were most impressed with, was not just all the scientists and all the engineers that had worked with private funding, all private funding, I must say. And now what they're looking to do is they need a way to get in and access the public markets. We provide that.
Hold on. I'm going to take this next speaker. This is Michael Whatley, who may be the next governor of North Carolina.
And is it appropriate to say Merry Christmas? I think it is. I think it is. You know, it is so good to have President Trump back here in North Carolina, the only battleground state that he carried in 2016 and 2020 and 2024. I was talking with the president not too long ago. I said, you know, 10 years ago, almost to the day, I got a call from Trump Tower asking me to run North Carolina for his campaign. And I remember the reaction that I got from everybody in my family and everybody in my workplace and my employees and my staff and everybody else when they said, "You're going to do what?" You know, you remember at the time, Donald Trump was 15th out of 15 in the Republican primary, and he had 1% in the polls. And you know why I said yes? Because that man came down the escalator and said he was going to make America great. And it wasn't just a platform. It wasn't just a platitude or a campaign speech. It was a plan. He's going to rebuild our economy. He's going to restore our borders. He's going to make sure that America is respected again. And when we shocked the world and beat Hillary Clinton in 2016, that's exactly what he did. And I never imagined that that call would lead me to getting another call to be the chair of the North Carolina Republican Party in the 2020 election cycle. And another call where he asked me to be the RNC chair and help run his campaign last year. And what a campaign he ran last year. And right now, what we are all living through and we're all witness to is the most transformational national presidential term in our lifetime. Because Donald Trump has gone right back to the basics. He is rebuilding our economy right now. He has restored our borders. 6 months in a row, not one single illegal alien has been caught and released into the United States. And America is absolutely respected again around the world. Now, I was not expecting to get a call a few weeks ago, but I did. When the president called, he said, you know, Michael, Tom Tillis is not going to be running for re-elect. So here's the deal. You're going to run, and you're going to win, and you're going to do great. So congratulations. And I called my wife, and I told her about that call. She said, you need to stop taking this guy's calls. But I am so excited to be running for Senate here in North Carolina because you need a conservative champion and Donald Trump needs an ally in the Senate. Now, I've got a lot of friends in this room, and I got some folks I haven't met yet. So let me tell you about me. I grew up in Blowing Rock, North Carolina. a tiny little town on the Blue Ridge Parkway, 534 people. I'm a son of the middle class. My dad was an accountant. My mom was the town librarian. I went to church. I played sports, and I worked. I had a paper route. I mowed lawns. I got my first full-time job when I was 14. I paid my way through college. I paid my way through graduate school. I paid my way through law school. North Carolina and America gave me an opportunity to live the American dream, to be a son of the middle class, to be able to have a career, to be able to marry the woman that I love and raise a family with 3 amazing kids. And it also gave me the opportunity to work with the greatest president of our lifetime, Donald J. Trump. Now, I'm running for Senate because I want to fight. I want to fight every single day for you. I want to fight for every family and for every community in this state. We need economic policies that are going to create jobs, raise wages, lower prices. We need to keep our kids and our communities safe. And we need to make sure that our men and women in uniform have what they need to protect our interests at home, overseas, and the interests of our allies. Now, we have an opponent in this race, former Governor Roy Cooper. Now, Roy Cooper has been the governor of this great state. He's been elected for 38 years. This is a man who, over the course of his career, has fought harder for criminals than he did victims. People remember back in 2020, the violent riots with Antifa and BLM burning down our cities, and Roy Cooper out there marching with the protesters. Y'all remember that picture? Yeah, you're going to see it a lot over the next year, let me tell you that. But people don't necessarily remember that he went at that time and signed an executive order to reimagine law enforcement in North Carolina. We don't need to reimagine law enforcement. We need to back the blue, and we need to enforce the law. Roy Cooper created cashless bail in North Carolina. He created pretrial release. He created a revolving door that put criminals on the street again and again and again. Everybody remembers Irina Zarotska, beautiful young lady, escapes Ukraine and moves to Charlotte. She's working in a pizzeria, gets off at 11:30, gets on the wrong light rail car, sits in the wrong seat, and DeCarlos Brown Jr. slit her throat. If you haven't seen that video, do not go watch it. Terrific. DeCarlos Brown should have never been on that light rail car. He should have never been on the streets. He had been arrested and released 14 different times and was out without bail. We do not need Roy Cooper's soft on crime policies in North Carolina. Roy Cooper, who vetoed legislation that would tell sheriffs that they have to honor ICE detainers and move violent criminal illegal aliens out of North Carolina. Roy Cooper, who vetoed legislation to keep boys out of girls' sports and men out of women's locker rooms and woke out of our schools. Roy Cooper, who will fight harder for criminals. He will fight harder for illegal aliens and men who want to play in women's sports than he will for the people of North Carolina. We can do better. Now, I got to tell you, when we talk about Donald Trump and we talk about the economy, let's take a look at what he ran on. He ran on a policy that is going to help our farmers, going to help our manufacturers, going to help our small businesses. He's going to create jobs. He's going to raise wages. He's going to have tax policies and trade policies and regulatory policies that are going to help our farmers, like our tobacco farmers here in Rocky Mount in eastern North Carolina. And we're seeing that positive impact already. 700,000 jobs have been created in the private sector since Donald Trump was first put into office, sworn in on the 20th. Wages are up. Real wages are up 4.5% over year. And we are seeing inflation already coming down. 9% in 2022 and 2023, 30% while Joe Biden was president. It cost twice as much to buy a house in 2024 as it did in 2020 for the same exact house. Donald Trump is fighting every day for you. That's why he's here tonight. And we need to make sure that we are going to welcome him here with open arms. Are we going to be able to do that? So we have an opportunity in America. We have an opportunity in America because of you. Because you stood up and delivered for Donald Trump in 2016. Because you stood up and supported him and delivered North Carolina for him in 2020. You delivered for him in that historic win last year in 2024. And now we need you one more time. Because if the Democrats win the House, if the Democrats win the Senate, we are going to go right back to investigations and hoaxes and impeachments. You see, this Senate race is ultimately about a vote. It's about a vote in the Senate. It's about a vote that Roy Cooper would cast every single time with Chuck Schumer, with Jasmine Crockett, with AOC, with Bernie Sanders, with a woke mob that he is a card-carrying member of. I'm going to cast a vote for the America First agenda. I'm going to cast a vote for you. I'm going to cast a vote for North Carolina. I am running for Senate because I believe that you need a conservative champion and Donald Trump needs an ally in Washington, and I cannot do it without you, and I need your support. So let me start where we finished. It is absolutely fantastic to have the President of the United States, not just the 45th, the 47th President of the United States, right back here in Rocky Mount. And I really hope that all of you and all of North Carolina have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you, North Carolina.
All right, so he I don't know if he didn't say it right or if it got muffled. Roy Cooper was not the governor for 39 years. He's been in government in North Carolina for 39 years. He's been there since, I think, 39 years. He's been in North Carolina government in one way, shape, or another for nearly 40 years. That's what he meant. That's what he was saying. Got a couple things to show you real quick. President Trump, before he got on the plane, you saw on the clip him coming down and getting off. This was before he left. Got just a minute long.
California, detailing how his team works directly. Talk to the insurance companies and see if we can cut them way, way down. And if we can't, we just pay directly to the people. They buy their own health care. And I think very important today with the favored nations, because drug prices are going to be down 400, 500, 600%. If you look, we did something that nobody's been able to do. So have a good flight if you're joining me. Thank you. Thank you.
there must be some sort of protocol. It's very interesting because he goes in the front door, they go in the back door, but they may be sitting right next to him. Because when I saw the seating, I saw that Susie Wiles was right there in front. So they end up sitting next to him, but they have to go in different doors. Must be some sort of safety procedure. And if you notice, that was Susie Wiles. What's his name? Name's Ken Chung. You saw Caroline Levitt. Someone you didn't see, however, was Stephen Miller. And I do have Stephen Miller queued up because Stephen Miller ended up being on Jesse Waters tonight. And so I'm going to let you guys hear what Stephen Miller has to say. And let me just get it queued up. Get ready. 1 second. It's almost ready. Hold on. I thought I had him queued up. It takes a second. Here he comes. And waiting for him to come in. They're still running a commercial because I rewound it too much. But Stephen Miller will be coming up very shortly. I'll just get it ready so I can just click the button once he gets on. So, waiting for Stephen Miller to get on television. Let me see if I can fast forward this. This is live, so I don't have much room for error here. Hold on. Where is it? I had it queued up. You know what? Give me a second.
Stephen Miller. All right, Miller, we got Haitians now on the gravy train, not just eating the dogs and cats anymore.
Well, first of all, regarding the situation in Minnesota, and by the way, not just Minnesota, we have Somali refugees that were dumped here by Democrats in Ohio and Massachusetts. Let me just say, we should not be shocked when you import a population whose primary occupation is pirate, that they are going to come here and steal everything we have. Somalia has this giant coastline, and the only industry they have created after hundreds of years is piracy, stealing what anyone going through who has actually built something has made. So yes, the pirates have stolen all of our money, and they have to go home, Jesse. That's the situation we're in right now.
Okay, well, Tampon says you guys are after him, and it's mean and it's unfair, Miller.
So he's presided over, this corrupt, incompetent loser has presided over the largest theft of American taxpayer dollars in history. It's never been equaled before. The amount of money that's been stolen is larger than the entire GDP of Somalia. In other words, the Somalians they brought here have thefted more than all the Somalians in Somalia have ever created for themselves in all the time that has existed up until now. So there needs to be a lot of people going to jail. And I can promise you the Department of Justice is launching an investigation that is commensurate in force and in purpose with the scope, scale, size, and magnitude of this controversy.
Okay, so they just doubled their GDP thanks to Tampon. Way to go. So the commie boot camp. Sometimes we laugh at this. We see him doing sit-ups. Is that a concern to you, Mr. Miller?
Well, what's a concern to me is that we don't have a Democrat Party anymore. They still have the D in front of the name. They call themselves Democrats. We have a Communist Party, but it's actually the worst kind of communism imaginable, which is DEI communism. So it's not just we're going to redistribute your wealth, it's we're going to import massive numbers of illiterate refugees and give all your wealth to them. And we're going to give their kids the first spot in every college. And we're going to make sure their kids are the next wave of doctors who are going to butcher you when you're having a medical emergency. So we've combined the two worst ideologies imaginable. Communism and DEI is literally a recipe for national death. That is what Democrats are bringing us, Jesse.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Have a great weekend and Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Happy
Merry
New
Christmas.
Year and all that good stuff.
Oh my goodness! How I love how he hits, how hard he hits. President Trump is hitting hard as well. He came out and said this: $9 billion. I just want you to let that germinate. Let that go around in your brain at this point. $9 billion was stolen from the state of Minnesota by illegal Somalian criminals. They must pay a big price now. It's unfathomable. $9 billion. I know I've talked about it before. I will continue to talk about it because there is no way that they could have done it by themselves. They had to have these people helping. They had to have Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, and Ilhan Omar. They had to have been helping. There's no possible way that these people could have stolen $9 billion without a lot of facilitation from people like these politicians. And the only way for us to get through this is we're going to have to absolutely see some people. I've never been one that's pushing the arrest, but $9 billion? Man, you don't need to just go get arrested. You need to bypass the court system and just drop them off, kick them out of an airplane with a parachute and say, go back to Somalia. But before they leave, get the money back from them. Seize every bank account. Seize every dollar. If they went to some Somali warlord, show up in Somalia and tell the warlord, we're not going to take this. You can't just take $9 billion of Americans' money. I mean, that should be almost like an act of war. $9 billion. That's insane. That is utterly insane. All right, so let me go back to Devin Nunes.
Opportunity for them to access the public markets. And I would just encourage everyone to actually look at this company. I think when you look around the country, look around the world, this is the world's premier nuclear fusion company without question. And when we talk at Trump Media and Technology Group, what do we want to do? We want to acquire crown jewel assets. This is a crown jewel asset that could change the world.
Now, upon closing, shareholders of each company will own approximately 50% of the combined company on a fully diluted equity basis. You're going to be co-CEO? Co-CEOs never work, Devin.
Well, that's not true. I think Oracle, it worked pretty well for a long time.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
The reason why she said that will never work, a 50-50 deal in business is very hard because somebody has to be the final say. Somebody has to have 51. You have to have more than the other person, the other people involved, because I want to paint the walls green. Somebody has to say no. And otherwise, you just are going to be in court forever because you both have 50-50. You have to have somebody that has the final say-so. So I don't know how they're setting this up because, as she just said, 50-50 just doesn't work. It doesn't even work in some marriages. Never mind a business arrangement.
So, and this is the perfect setup for it. Dr. Binderbauer, who's really the genius behind all of this, he will stay running and working with all the scientists. I will stay with all the true social assets, and then we will help out where we can. Obviously, this is going to need, we're going to have to pick a site. We're going to have to pick a state. We're going to have to work with state and local governments. I also feel like there is a place, a role for our national defense in this. I mean, this is one of the things that I think we've fallen behind as a country because we focus too much on windmills. We haven't done enough in nuclear. You see the Trump administration now really trying to get us focused back on that. And so, it's important, I think, so we'll be able to play an important role in helping getting this sited. And remember, we're going to find the site, pick the state, and get construction underway in 2026. Nobody else can really say that.
So is it fair to say that the priority at Trump Media and Technology now will be energy, not social media?
Well, no, everything is important, but we solved social media, right? I mean, we built the streaming platform, the social media platform. It's global. It works. We don't go down. It's amazing technology. And what this really is, Maria, is a secondary company. And look, it doesn't, like right now, I mean, look, it's a major project that has to be undertaken. The good thing is that we have the capital to go build this first reactor.
See, that's what people don't understand. $6 billion capitalized. They had to have the money to go out and build this now. And so this merger is somebody brings the money, somebody has the know-how, we'll bring the money, you build it. That's where they're going to come together. And so when he says, and she had a good question, she was basically asking him about True Social. I think most people know True Social was never going to be a moneymaker. That wasn't what it was designed for. It was designed to be the holding company per se, so that they could be doing all of these deals behind the scenes. And now they're going to be doing nuclear power so that they can get to AI. And I would almost guarantee you that True Social becomes an AI platform. Maybe it's powered by Grok. Maybe it's powered by a different company, but True Social, in my expectation, is going to become an AI-generated company. So he said something there about it being a streaming platform, but there's obviously YouTube and Rumble and X. I haven't seen many people using Truth Social to stream yet. In fact, my software doesn't even connect to Truth Social to stream. So maybe that's where they're headed. You guys may not know this, but there's a big thing happening in streaming right now where the market has turned to where people want your programs to be able to be watched on television. That's why I don't do a lot of shorter videos, because when I was talking to YouTube, they were telling me start generating programs that are watchable on a television. I'm like, okay, we'll start putting that together. People are doing 7 and 8 and 9 minute videos. Yeah, you put some of those out because there's a certain level of people who just want to watch a little snack. They don't want to spend 2 hours on a show. That's just not what they do. However, these social media networks, and what he just said, he's hoping to, well, they're a streaming network. I don't think many people know that True Social is a streaming network. So that tells me something else. If they've got the capital to buy a nuclear company, then they probably have the capital to acquire another video company. Now, they're probably not going to be able to buy YouTube, but they might be able to buy Rumble and merge that in. We shall see.
So this isn't like some that we're going to go beg the government for money, or we're going to go out and do additional pipes. We have enough capital right now to build this project over the next few years.
Okay.
That's, right. That's what we really did. We set this company up for success with a big balance sheet. And now we're ready to go do something big. And there is nothing bigger at the highest level in this country right now. Nothing more important than fixing the energy crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear it every day on your show.
For sure, for sure. We're going to be following this as you continue putting these two companies together.
So that's going to be big. That is going to be big to watch what Truth Social, Truth Media, whatever they're going to be calling it, what's it going to be doing in the future, the very near future. That might be something you want to take a look at. Got to do your research, and dig in, but you should do your research and find out where things are going in that regard. All right, let's continue. It is now 8:49. President Trump has not walked out, nor has the next speaker, so we can continue.
Well, thank you so much. Candy and I are absolutely delighted to be here, see so many supporters, and
just in case you guys don't know who this is Dr. Ben Carson, and this was his keynote, his speech at TPUSA today.
You know, I miss Charlie like so many of you do, but you kind of have to look at it from the perspective of eternity. From that perspective, if you're here for one day, 31 years, 120 years, it's a snap of the finger against the backdrop of eternity. But for his snap of the finger, how many lives did Charlie impact? That's what we should be thinking about. We are so lucky. We are so lucky to live in this country. Have you ever thought about it? You can live in any environment you want in this country. You don't have to ask anybody. You like tropics, you can live there. You like cold, you can move to Minnesota. It doesn't matter where you want to go. And we have everything, big cities, little cities, the plains, you name it. And we are extraordinarily blessed, and we need to keep it that way. But our founders wanted not only that, they wanted a place where people could live in freedom and where the will of the people would be respected. Now, so many people in Europe said, it'll never work. You can't have a society that's run by the will of the people. You have to have a monarch. You have to have a ruler. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's 250 years later, and we're still here. And we've become a land of promise for so many people. Candy and I have been to 68 countries in the 50 years that we've been married. And I can tell you, there is no place like America. Now, there are those who don't like the success that we've had, and they would very much like to change it. And if they could overcome us militarily, they would do it. But they can't. We're too powerful. But what would you do if you wanted to bring down America? You couldn't do it militarily. I think you might think about our education system. Could we possibly infiltrate the teacher unions and the public schools so that we can indoctrinate the children? Could we gain control of the media, of Hollywood, so that we could change the culture of the people? Should we do everything we can to destroy the American family, the traditional family? Should we try to introduce other things and make them the equivalent of one man marrying one woman and bringing up children? Those are things that are going on. We recognize that. Should we infiltrate the churches and convince the ministers to preach the social gospel rather than the gospel that is in the book of the Bible about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who has saved all of us? Should we make sexual perversion a normal thing? Normal, natural, and healthy? Should we encourage student riots to foment public protest? Should we break down cultural standards of morality with pornography and other types of immorality? Should we discredit the American Constitution, make it old-fashioned and out of step? Should we discredit the founders of our country? Should we say they were horrible men because some of them had slaves? You know, I get tired of hearing people go back to the slavery argument. It means they don't know anything about world history, because there's no society that hasn't had to deal with slavery in the history of the world. And that doesn't make it a good thing, it's an evil thing. But the thing that really made America unique is that we had so many people who vehemently opposed the evil institution that they fought a bloody civil war and lost a large portion of the population to get rid of it. That's what we need to teach our children about. Smart people are able to learn from mistakes. Stupid people have to keep making the same mistake over and over and never seem to learn. And I believe we're smart people, and we can do something about that. The other thing that I would try to do if I were trying to destroy America is manipulate the history of this country. We have an incredible history, but people are trying to alter and rewrite that history so that we will not have patriotic individuals. It's something that we must fight, something that we fight very vigorously with the Little Patriots program. Teach our children what our values are and what our true history is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot more good than there is bad and ugly, and we need to be talking about that. Another thing I would do is discredit the FBI and try to demonize the police and try to control the unions. Well, guess what? That's not an original thought. All those things that I just said, they've been going on in our country for years. And if you go back and read about some of the things that were written by people in our own country, Congressman Herlong, for instance, of Florida, in January 10th of 1963 in the Congressional Record, read the 45 goals of communism in America. This is how they were going to bring us down. All those things I just mentioned are just a portion of those things that are going on. And to try to create us as enemies of each other because we don't agree on things, I have to tell you, we are being manipulated. We are pawns. And if we buy into it, we get what we deserve. We don't deserve what is coming if we continue down the path of thinking that we're each other's enemies because we disagree about something. It's okay to disagree about something. It's not agreeable and it's not okay with God to hate your neighbor because you have a disagreement. We are not enemies.
Unfortunately, I've got to jump from Ben Carson, but you won't mind because the boss is walking on stage. He's actually early. I had timed it up so, we get him in case he was late. He's actually...
Oh, thank you very much. This was just a little quick stop that we made yesterday. Let's go to North Carolina. We want to go to North Carolina. And what a crowd. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. There'll never be anything like this. You say, let's go to North Carolina. We get this great crowd. Outside you have people. It's crazy. We're having a great time. And these ladies right here, they've been to, I think, over 200 rallies, but I'm not going to say it. And this time I made it easy because they come from North Carolina. They didn't have to travel. Today they traveled about a half an hour, right? Isn't that nice? Instead of traveling all over the country. They're unbelievable. And you look better than you've ever looked, and I'm not allowed to say that. If you say that, if you say a woman looks beautiful, which you do, it's the end of your political career. But I don't care. You look beautiful. Well, I'm thrilled to be back in this incredible state with so many proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are. And let me begin by wishing each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas. Remember, they didn't want to say Merry Christmas when I first started. 2016, we don't want to say Merry Christmas. I said, no, we're going to bring back Christmas. And they don't say that anymore. They don't want to say it, but they don't talk about it anymore because they got shellacked. We're here tonight to celebrate 11 incredible months. It's been the most successful first year of any president in the history of our country. It has been, isn't that a big statement? But it's a statement that you read all over the place. I mean, who could have done better? I don't think anybody could have done better than us, not me, than us. We're in this together. Since my inauguration, we've created more than 53,000 North Carolina jobs, including 8,000 North Carolina construction jobs. More than 150,000 North Carolina residents have been lifted off of food stamps. They're very happy about that. And after your horrible hurricane, which produced more water damage than any hurricane in history, the Democrats let you down. They really did. Remember, they wouldn't do anything. You remember? They wouldn't go to your community. They wouldn't do anything. You had to wait till January 20th when I took office that we really knocked the hell out of it. Remember? As soon as I took office, I got in on January 20th, and first thing I did was made North Carolina phone calls, and we did a hell of a job. Did a hell of a job. You'd still be sitting in the mud if I didn't get elected. You would be. People were sitting in the mud. But I helped rebuild your state, and I didn't get any help from the Democrats, not your governor, not your man that's running, by the way, for Senate against Michael Whatley, who's phenomenal. Michael Whatley is incredible. Your previous governor was a disaster. He's also a radical left person, by the way. He's radical left. You don't want him. He doesn't represent you. And look at the crime. Look at what's going on with all the crime here. The slitting throats and stuff. I never saw that with you. Now all of a sudden that's what we see. You got to get Michael Whatley. It's going to be so important. He was so great. Don't forget, I took Michael and I put him as the head of the party because he did so great. We won the state all 3 times, and it was like a rock. He didn't allow cheating in the second time. I watched all these states, boom, boom, we're leading. People went to sleep, it was over. Then they dropped ballots, they cheated like hell. The only good thing is this is a far better term than it would have been had I done it the more traditional way. It really is. It's a more powerful term. It's a more powerful term. And the biggest news of all is yesterday, it was announced that inflation is far lower than anybody expected. I told you. Beating every one of the 61 forecasts from the so-called geniuses, the experts. We're the geniuses, not them. We now have the lowest core inflation since March of 2021, and we're just getting started. It's unbelievable. And that's despite taking in billions and billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. Remember they said, the tariffs will cause inflation. Just came out with the best inflation report we've had in years. And lots of cash, too. In fact, 1776, right? $1,776 goes to our military. You know, it was 1,775. And that was the number, that was just a lump. I said, if we had $1, we got 1776. Somebody said, that's genius. I said, well, I'm smart. I said, for $1, and I'll get these ladies who are loaded with money to pay for it from North Carolina. Their husbands can write a check in 2 seconds, take care of it. No, think of it, for $1 more. They said, I can't believe we didn't think of that. Only hours ago, I left a meeting at the White House where we cut the cost of prescription drugs by 300, 400, 500, and even 600%. And I'm doing what no politician of either party has ever done before, standing up to the special interests and demanding lower prices for the American people. This is what we've done. It's called favored nations. And nations all over the world were screwing us. We would have prices that were 10 times higher than the prices they were charging in London and in Paris and all over the world. We had the highest prices for drugs because we had politicians that wouldn't. I did it in the beginning, at the first, but then we had a thing called
you know what happened, COVID? And it was sort of hard to go after France and Italy, say, listen, on top of all your COVID all over the place with everyone dying, we want you to pay a lot of money for drugs. You can't do it. But we did it, and nobody's ever even thought of doing it before. I've negotiated and really did it directly with 17 of the world's largest drug companies, as well as foreign nations that were taking advantage of your country for decades, many decades. For years, Americans have been paying the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by far, 10 times more sometimes, 15 times more, while other countries pay drastically less for the exact same drug made in the exact same plant, in the exact same country. But under my most favored nation, you know what that means? It's a legal term. Drug pricing executive order I just signed a couple of months ago, and is now being implemented. We have declared that the United States will now pay the same price as the lowest price of any country anywhere in the world. And we should honestly, this is the biggest thing to happen in medicine, I think, since the founding of our country. You know, I don't mind. Go ahead. They actually have a great location. You know, we've had people that look so good behind me that some of them went to Hollywood and actually did very well. You know? See, they may have a better location, but nobody's going to Hollywood. They can only see the back of your head. Look at all the television. Look at all those cameras. It's crazy. But we did something nobody's ever done before. Nobody's tried. Nobody thought they could do it. Don't forget the drug companies turned out to really do the right thing. They really did. And they were there at the White House today. You saw some of the biggest companies in the world were there. The rest of them are coming next week. But the big problem was foreign countries. They would have to take their drug and raise it from $10 to $20 to $30, maybe to $100, maybe 10 times more. But it really doesn't work that way because the world is a bigger place than the U.S. And so you're not going to have to raise it that much, but you have to raise it. And they always said for 50 years, they said, let the United States pay. And for 50 years, the United States got screwed because we're paying so much more. Drug that was selling for $10 in London sells for $130. That's 13 times more in New York. 13 times more. So $10 in London, $130 in New York. And now that drug will go up for the other country from $10 to only $20 or maybe $30. And it will come down from the United States of America to $20 from $130. Think of that. Think of that. That's the biggest price reduction. When you talk about cutting prices, cutting costs, and cutting prices, you talk about affordability. You know, the Democrats, they're the ones that got us into the mess. They're the ones that caused the high prices. And then they come out and they look at those fake news people back there. They go, this election's about affordability. They go, let's talk about it. No, I'd rather not talk about it because they can't. They're the ones that caused the highest inflation in the history of our country, which led to the highest prices in the history of our country. I inherited the mess. I got the prices down, and they're going down still further. Look at gasoline. A lot of areas now in our country, $1.99 a gallon. Right? It cost these ladies from these beautiful friends of mine from North Carolina, it cost them like 1/3 to get here than it would have cost under Sleepy Joe Biden. Right? If you drive, this time you can drive. It's the first time you didn't have to take an airplane. But we had 9 blockbuster agreements. We had 9 of them with the big drug companies just today. The rest are coming over the next couple of weeks. But the first dramatic drug discounts will be available to all Americans starting on January at a thing called TrumpRx.gov. TrumpRx.gov. But this is the biggest thing ever to happen on drug prices, pharmaceutical prices. And it will also tremendously it's going to reduce the cost of health care because health care is probably 50% about drugs, right? Your drugs are coming down at levels that nobody ever thought was possible. This achievement alone should win us the midterms. You know, if we did nothing else, I said today, you know, you're talking about like this massive reduction in drug prices that affects everybody. Older people, younger people, middle-aged people, sick people, well people. It's not just like patients, it's everybody. It can never happen. Nobody would ever have done this. It was very hard to do. I had countries laughing at me. I said, listen, you're going to have to double and triple your drug prices. They said France, as an example, UK, European Union. They said, you must be kidding. They've had low prices for years. The drug companies would go, could you pay more? No, charge the United. They wanted the drug companies, in all fairness, to charge the United States of America. And they made up all sorts of crap. Well, research and development. I said, well, what about research and development? Why aren't they paying also for research? Well, it just never worked that way. They used to use, remember, research and development. That's why we pay more. I say 12 times more. Why? For research and development? It was all a con job. But I'd say to the head of France, as an example, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to double or triple your prices for drugs. No, we will not do that. Oh, yes, you will. I said, yes, you will. 100%. No. We will not do that. Of course we will not. I can't do that. I said, yes, you will. No, I won't. Yes, you will. And he said, why do you have such certainty? I said, because if you don't do it, I'm going to charge you a 25% tariff on everything you sell into America. And I said, because that was really the sticking point. They just would do it. They told the drug companies for years, we're not doing it. We're keeping that pill at $10. We're not going to raise it. And the drug companies said, well, you know, it's unfair. I mean, they're paying 10 times more, sometimes 15 times more. That's okay. Let them pay more. We're not paying more than the prices were stuck for years. And no president did anything about it. Sleepy Joe Biden didn't know he was alive. The last thing he cared about was this. He didn't care about anything. Just wanted to make it through. But they cheated. Look, he was surrounded by radical left. Hey, did you see on Mar-a-Lago, did you see how corrupt that was now? It's all come out. Wow. It's all come out. Some life. It's all come out. They were totally corrupt, radical left lunatics. Not stupid people, by the way. He was, but the people that really ran the country and that really ran the auto pen, they were not stupid. But think about what we've done. Under the Trump administration, America will not be ripped off any longer. So can you imagine these countries? And when I told you the example before, from $10 to $20, you know, that doesn't sound like much, but it's a doubling of the price. You know, that's a doubling of the price. And if it went to 30 or 35 or 40, you know, that's still a doubling, tripling, or quadrupling of the price. But I said, a 25% tariff, it's much more money than what you're talking about. So they would say to me, all countries, you know, obviously they said no at the beginning, and they would have told a normal president no, and that would have been the end of the conversation. So they said no to me, and I said, no, you'll do it, 100%. And they said, what's wrong with this? 100%. I said, 100% that you're going to do it. The one asked me, why are you so certain? Why would you say that I would quadruple the price of drugs in France or someplace? I said, because if you don't, we're going to charge you a 25% tariff. That tariff is worth 5 times more money than you're talking about. And there was dead silence on the phone. And then when the gentleman, Emmanuel, is a wonderful guy, when he spoke, he said, and the gigantic health insurance companies that have gotten rich on billions of dollars of government subsidies, and I want the money to go directly to the people. I want the money to be paid directly to the people so that they can buy their own health insurance, which will give far better benefits at much lower cost. By the way, what I told you about buying the drugs at this massive dollar discount, it's like from where it is, that's going to have a huge impact on the cost of health care. The current Unaffordable Care Act, commonly known as Barack Hussein Obamacare, was created to make insurance companies rich. It was bad health care at much too high a cost, and you see now that the steep increase in premiums, it's being demanded by the Democrats. It was never any good, Obamacare. It was done for the benefit of insurance companies, which totally control the Democrats. That's why you could have a strike on January 30th. You could have another shutdown because the Democrats are totally in the hands of, they're totally controlled by the insurance companies, big wealthy companies. Again, I want the money to go directly to the people so you can buy your own health care, and you'll get much better health care at a much lower price. And the only losers will be the insurance companies that have gotten rich. How about these companies? Some of them have gone up 1,400%, their stock prices. One, I think, went up 1,700%. How many people have ever bought a stock that went up 1,700%? And think of it. They've taken in billions and billions of dollars. And the Democrat Party is also just, look, I don't know what they're going to do, because I don't know how anybody beats us when we say that we want the money to go to the people so you can buy your own health care. How could it ever be better than that? I wanted to do that at the beginning in 2016, but the politicians told me, sir, I was a little bit inexperienced. I've never done this before. Now I'm quite experienced. I've seen things that nobody would have thought possible. But I said, why do we have this crazy Obamacare, or as we call it, the unaffordable, isn't that a great name, the Affordable Care Act? I call it the Unaffordable Care Act. I should get credit. That's a good one. What's better, that or fake news? That or Pocahontas? That? I can't use the names that I used on the Republicans to gain access to the election, but we had some good names, didn't we? But I think the Unaffordable Care Act is pretty good. The UCA, right? They keep talking about the ACA. Think of that. Instead of the ACA, we call it the UCA. The UCA, they say, what is that? The Unaffordable Care Act? It is unaffordable. But it was always no good. But now it's really gone. And with time, it gets worse. Now it's going to be hit big. Remember, I didn't do this. This is Obamacare. This is Obamacare. This isn't Trump. But you don't need it, because let the money not go to the insurance companies. The problem is the Democrats will shut down the government because they are totally beholden. I don't love that word, but they're beholden, they're beholden to the insurance companies. So I don't know what they can do about it, but they'll probably close down the government. It's so simple. The money should go to the people. The people should then take all of this money and buy the best health care there is. And there'll be a lot of money left over. Right? But they'll not be happy. But that's okay with me, because you, the hardworking citizens, and finally you're going to have great health care at the right price, so you're going to have it. Although today I did suggest one thing, because when I was watching these big drug companies get up and talk about things, they were giving free medicine, and they couldn't have been nicer, they couldn't have been better, and they were, giving us a hard time a while ago, but it worked out good. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call these insurance companies fat cats. They are fat cats. I'm going to call the insurance companies, and I'm going to set up a meeting with them, all of them, and maybe I'll have the same luck that we had with the health companies, with the pharmaceuticals and the drug companies that we had. So rather than just saying we're not going to deal, maybe they'll give us a deal, like cut the price by 50%, and maybe then it starts to make sense. So I'm going to meet with them. Who knows? Who knows? And I'll either meet in Florida. I'm going to Florida. I'll either meet in Florida because I work all the time. So I'll either meet in Florida or I'll meet in Washington the first week right after we all come back to going to our wonderful jobs. And I'll sit down with, it's like 12, 13 people. You know, it's basically these big monster companies. 13, 14 if I want to be generous. Get 14 people in a room and let's see what happens. Maybe they'll surprise us, but maybe we'll ask them for a 50% cut and maybe they'll give it. You know, you never know. You saw what happened with the drug companies. They're giving free drugs to, I mean, they've been unbelievable, but they do love our country. And I probably think the insurance company guys love our country. They just felt they were dealing with stupid people, so you can't really blame them. Over the past 11 months, we have brought more positive change to Washington than any administration in the history of our country. That's true. And there's never been anything like it. When I took office last January, I inherited a mess, and very simply, I am fixing it. Joe Biden gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. A lot of people say, you know, the fake news says, it's not the worst in history. It's the worst in 48 years. Oh, okay, sorry. No, they do. They say 48 years is okay. But when I say history, they go crazy. That's when I let them win. I say, I'm sorry, apologize. I like that hat, 47. It's nice, actually. Beautiful, nice thread, gold thread. I watched that myself. I want gold thread, not mustard colored, you know? No, they give you, a lot of times they sell you mustard color. It costs them a lot less. We don't accept those hats. When you have a mustard colored thread, don't accept it. But it caused the prices to be higher than ever before, making it really life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. Our border was open and our country was being invaded by an army of 25 million people. Many came from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. You know the difference between a prison and a jail? A prison's more severe, right? You know the difference between a mental institution and an insane asylum? An insane asylum is more severe. They came from both. They were drug dealers, gang members, and over 13,000 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than one person. Think of that, they killed more than one. A lot of them said, oh, I didn't mean, but you know, when you kill more than one, get them the hell out of our country. How about that incident with that horrible monster that killed the young, beautiful girl from Ukraine, an animal? And to think we'll have him in trials for years, and you'll get some nice liberal lawyer, and they'll say, oh, well, he had a bad day. Yeah, he had a bad day. He slit her throat. We had men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, crime at record levels, the worst trade deals ever made. And our country was laughed at from all over the world, but they're not laughing anymore. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world because we finally have a president who puts America first. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices on everything at unprecedented levels. How about the new thing in Minnesota with the Somalians? They stole, now it came out, the great U.S. attorney up there, they came out, think of this, $9 billion, and they think that's just the beginning. They stole, think of it. In their country, they live on nothing. They have nothing. They come here and they steal $9 billion. Are we stupid? I mean, how do we allow that to happen? Ilhan Omar should be sent out of our country. She should not be allowed to be a congresswoman. She married her brother either to stay or to get him into the country. And yesterday she, I guess, made up a story. She said the police attacked her son. They stopped the car and the police said, we never attacked him, we never stopped him. It was a made-up story. She's a con person, she's full of con. She says, zero. She said, you ought to get her the hell out of our country. That's what you ought to do. She made up a story that the police stopped her son's car and they harassed the hell out of him. It turned out to be a fake story. There was no stoppage of his car and there was no harassment. But think of that, in Minnesota, this beautiful place, once beautiful, I don't call it beautiful, you got a governor who's a stupid person and a corrupt. He's corrupt and stupid. But he allowed this to go on. He allowed this to go on. Everybody knew what was going on. But what nobody knew is over $9 billion. And the people of Minnesota are not happy. And you know who's running for governor? Mike Lindell. Do we like Mike Lindell? That man suffered. That man suffered. What he did, what he went through because he knew the election was rigged. And he did it. He just did it as a citizen. Mike Lindell, I'll tell you what, every time I introduced him, he got the biggest hand. I hope he does great. He deserves to do great. That man suffered. These people went after him. They went after his company. They did that with me too, but at least I knew what I was getting into. He was just a guy that said, geez, this election was so crooked, it was so rigged. He fought like hell. That guy deserves to be governor of Minnesota, I'll tell you right now. He's a great guy, too. But I'm bringing the prices down, and I'm bringing them down fast, you know that? As I saw the other day, and as I showed to people the other day, I made a speech. It was very well received. You know, we had one problem. I put up these gorgeous charts, and it says chart. And I'm, sort of talking about the chart. You're reading into a piece of glass. I got no audience. I got just people, very hostile people waiting around. And I'm reading into a piece of glass for 22 minutes, and I talk about the chart. The networks didn't put up the charts. Only Fox put up the charts. Fox put them up, in all fairness. When we get angry at Fox, we have to remember that. They put up the charts, so you could start putting them up now if you want. But we put up these beautiful charts that were very... Look at that. But I very much like the chart from Butler, PA. I like that much better. That's my all-time favorite chart. You know, that's a great chart. They're all great charts, but I never like a chart like that chart I put up in Butler. Just take a look at the chart right here. That was a good chart. I love that chart so much. I sleep with that chart. But this is okay. There'll never be a great chart for me. It's only the one. Compared to Butler, all charts stink. But look at that chart. Look at the kind of Biden price increases and Trump price increases. Look at that. They're all Biden. We're bringing the prices down. Look at that chart. NBC and CBS and ABC fake news. They're fake news. Oops, that camera just went off. Sorry about that. Every time I mention that camera, you see the red light back there, you see it go off. ABC fake news. I think ABC's the worst. Believe it or not, George Slopadopoulos, he paid me about $16 million. You have George Slopadopoulos. I heard Chris Christie lost his job. They fired Chris Christie. And they have a great young woman taking his place who happens to be Hispanic and happens to be phenomenal. She's going to do a great job. But they fired Chris Christie. I guess, you know why? He wanted to eat all the time. No, they fired him. He was bad news. But I'd say ABC is the worst of the networks. I would then say NBC is horrible. I mean, just horrible. They had this guy on, this fake guy, the fake senator. I call him the fake senator from a place called Georgia, right? And he was talking about all the, things. He says he's a church leader. You know, it's funny, if you go in as a church leader, they talk about church and state, right? He's allowed to talk about it. He said, I'm going back to my church and I'm going to pray this morning. I'm going to talk about all these issues. If a Republican said that, they start screaming church and state. They don't scream. But NBC's really bad. And CBS, I mean, I love the new owners of CBS. Something happens to them, though. 60 Minutes has treated me worse under the new ownership than... They just keep treating me. They just keep hitting me. It's crazy. And then you have Marjorie Trader Brown, I call her, because green turns to brown under stress. So I call her Trader Brown, which I don't like doing because 2 words is too much. 2 out of 3. We're changing to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm going Marjorie Trader Brown, so I have to trade. And a lot of people don't understand 2 words is too much to change. I actually like Marjorie Taylor Brown better, but everyone says Marjorie Trader Greene is good, but they're all good. But what the hell happened to her? She must have been a stone cold liberal. She's on CNN now all the time. Can you believe it? And it was only because I couldn't call her back. You know, I have 218, 19, it changes, but we have 200 and some odd congressmen and women. I have 53 senators. I have 212 countries. I've got a family. It's nice to talk to my family, too. You can't call a president every single day, and then when the president doesn't call you back, she goes around saying, he doesn't call me back. I said, Marjorie, I can't call you back. I got 2. I think, Marjorie, I just can't call you back. I'm sorry. And I wouldn't call her back. And she goes onto a rant. He won't call me back anymore. Sorry about that. You know, you can only go so far. Yeah, once a month, once every week or 2 weeks, but you can't, you know, highly neurotic. Her, not me, but I'm neurotic too. I think I'm probably very neurotic too. I always say controlled neuroses is good. Being neurotic, no good, but if it's controlled, that's okay. It gives you some energy. But what the hell happened to Marjorie Trader Greene? It's unbelievable, but she dropped out because I wasn't going to endorse her, and the person I would have endorsed was going to kill her in the polls. So she dropped out. And then they talk about how brave she is. No, brave would be to stay. And, you know, it's one of those things. But she dropped out. I can't believe it that people can change so much. But you can't go from being a strong conservative to a stone-cold liberal unless you were lying. You know, you can't do that. I mean, you can stop liking somebody, or you can say, I don't know, she's fake. Look, front row Joe. What are you doing in the second row? What happened? Well, you're in the front row. That's good. It's front row Joe. I don't know who's been there, the front row Joes or you? It's pretty close, I think. Very different, hey, very different types. Would you stand up, please, in the front row? Just stand up. Look at these women. Look how incredible they are. Right? Even front row Joes will admit they're very great, right? Look how beautiful they are. People like you built our country. You built our country. And that's why we love you. You built our country. The people in this room built our country. Under Sleepy Joe Biden, car prices, gasoline prices, hotel rates, airfare, and more went up 30 to 75%. Now they're all coming down. We're all coming down. Take a look at that. Isn't that beautiful to look? The same is true with groceries. The price of a Thanksgiving turkey was down by 33% compared to Sleepy Joe's high-priced era. Don't forget, when you have the highest inflation in history and or 48 years, do we think and look, in terms of a speech, I think 48 years is the equivalent of history. Do we agree? Can we say? Because they had a piece on me today in one of these fake newspapers, which are all dying. They're all going bankrupt, thank God. But they're the worst. That I misrepresented by saying history. It's actually 48 years. And I said, you know, that's not a bad misrepresentation, I don't think. The price of eggs is down 82% since March. Do you remember? There the people are. Do you remember? Fake news. Do you remember when I just got elected? It was a big thing. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won by like 312 to 200 and something, and like low 200. And we won everything. We won districts, the word district. We won districts by 2,750 to 525. That's a slaughter. And that's the thing when you see everything's red except for two little lines on the left and the right, meaning New York and California. That's the one that really is incredible. 2,750 to 525. We won everything in a slaughter. We won everything. And what a great thing it was, right? When you can have an election that good. And they tried to rig it. Remember we had the thing? Too big to rig. Remember that statement? That was a big thing. They tried like hell. They gave up at about 9:02. It was too big. It was just a landslide. They couldn't do it. They cheated a lot. But we made it too big to rig, and I appreciate you getting it. I said, the polls had us up, pretty way up. And a lot of times when that happens, you'll say, let's go out and watch a movie, and we'll come back and watch the president win. No, I said, don't watch a movie. Go out and vote. But it was too big, so it came back. What an evening. That was, what was better, 2016 or 2024? Tell me. I don't know. 2016 was pretty monumental. What was better? I don't know. Beating Hillary was fun. Well, Hillary has a much higher IQ than Kamala. I would say, I think Hillary has probably 50 or 60 points higher. Now, Hillary was smart. She was nasty. Whew, I wouldn't want to go home to her. She was nasty. Remember, she was a nasty person. I was going to use a B word. I said, my wife would not be happy. My wife always says, please, please don't use foul language. You know who else does? Franklin Graham. He says, President. He says, I love your speaking ability, President. You're a great speaker. Although nobody says it. You know, I get these big crowds, but did you ever see the press do a story that I'm a great speaker? They say, oh, he looked tired. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I get crowds, the biggest crowds in history of anything, not only of anything. They never say, he gave a great speech tonight in front of 45,000 people. Look at the crowds that we get are the biggest crowds ever. Before the election, we're getting 80. We had 117,000 people show up in New Jersey. It was a great speech. You know what they said? He looked tired. I looked tired. You can't be tired in front of 117,000 people. It's not possible. You got a lot of adrenaline. The adrenaline is pumping, right? But that's why they're fake news. That's why nobody listens to them anymore. But remember that we slashed the yearly cost of new mortgages by $3,000. Look at the mortgage chart. We slashed them. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, boy. Look at how much you made with me and lost with that sleepy guy. But everything now is falling, and the only things that are going up are your salaries, the stock market, and your 401ks. They're going up. Do you remember when I first won in 2024, and I was at my first conference? I'm 2 days in. You know, we're recovering from all the hoopla. 2 days in. In fact, I took a day off. They said, something's wrong with the president. I said, I just got here. There's nothing wrong with me. Something's wrong. You took a day off. What's wrong with the president, right? Every time. Do you remember when I had 28 news conferences in a row over 28 days? Sometimes I gave 2 or 3 in one day. And then I took my beautiful Kai, my beautiful granddaughter's a very good golfer. I took her to play golf one morning, and I was in the office very quickly. Something's wrong with the president. Do you remember the rumor was that I had passed away? Do you remember that? I won 28 days in a row. I took the kid to play golf. And we play very fast. She's good at, I'm a very good golfer. And we play very fast. We play in 2 hours. we're dinner. I mean, I said, baby, I got to get out of here. I'm sorry, honey. Enjoy your day. Go hit balls or something. I got to get out of here. I got to go to work. And I got a call, a friend of mine. Oh, you're okay? And I said, yeah, what's wrong? I said, I'll be back in the Oval Office in 30 minutes. Oh, I said, what's wrong with this guy? Then I got another call. Oh, you're okay. They said that I had passed away. Do you remember that? First day in 28 days, these people are sick. That's why I've taken more physicals, because I think you have an obligation to, report. And I hate when they put out false reports. So they put out a report that Donald Trump. So I took a lot of physicals. And I did something no other president's ever done. I took cognitive tests. Because I know that, and by the way, not easy. You get to those last questions, those last 10, 15 questions, nobody on that stand could answer probably any of them. And I got them, I aced them. And no other president's taken a cognitive. Could you imagine Sleepy Joe taking a cognitive test? I don't think he'd get the first question is like, what is this? And they show a lion, a giraffe, a fish, and a hippopotamus, right? And they say, which is the giraffe? So that's the only question. But what happens is it then gets harder. I don't think Joe would have gotten the first question right. He would say hippo. I want the hippo. But anyway, I've taken now 3 cognitive tests. I've aced every single one of them. And these are, this is that big stuff. This is Walter Reed. I've got a whole team of doctors all over the place. If you get them wrong, I said, what do you think? Should I do it? They said, well, here's the good news. The good news, if you do well, that's great. Actually, if you do well, they won't report it. If you do badly, it's going to be the biggest story in history. They said, it's possible that if you do badly, the word will leak out and you'll look very bad. I said, this was on my first test. After that, I knew that I can do very well. Smart person. So what happens? What happens is first test, I said, how hard is it? He said, well, after the 10th or 12th question, it gets, very hard. And I said, well, what do you think? They said, look, if you're going to do well, but if you're not going to do well, it's probable that the word will get out. I said, well, let's do it anyway. And I did it. And it was actually good. For a year, they called me a very intelligent person, but then they forget. Then I did it again. I aced it again. They report it. And these are doctors that I don't even know. And they report it. And then I did it a third time a few months ago, and they reported. But it's very small reporting. But can you imagine if I did badly, right? Could you imagine that, front row Joe? Would I be in trouble? They'd say, there's something wrong. But I like to do it. But I had perfect health. And they reported his health is perfect. And they interpret that. And the fake news interprets when the doctor says he's got perfect health, they go, what does he mean by perfect? There's something wrong with the president. These people are sick. Now, there will be a time when perhaps I won't be 100% true with all of us, right? And when that time comes, I will let you know about it. In fact, you'll probably find out about it just by watching. But that time is not now, because I feel the same that I felt for 50 years. I really do. But we have I think we have an obligation to, at least report your health. But I will tell you, to me, because of what happened for 4 years, I really think having a cognitive test for presidents to take a cognitive test is very important. I think it's very important. I'm hearing that they say it's, not with Biden, they said it was not constitutional. That was the least of his problems. But I think it's very important that a president or people running for president and vice president take a cognitive test. I mean, I think it's a very important thing. I don't know. They say you shouldn't do that. It's unjust. It's not constitutional. They say all these things, but I do. I really believe that. Under Trump, wages are rising much faster than inflation for the first time in many years. Think of that. Wages are rising faster than inflation. That's what it's all about, right? And we're delivering lower prices and bigger paychecks. And the wage chart that you see up there is incredible. That NBC didn't put up and the networks didn't put up. There are more people working today than at any time in American history. And very importantly, while tens of thousands of new jobs under Biden were government jobs, they were government jobs. I could do that right now. You saw it today, we had 4.5% inflation. That's because I'm letting go of tremendous numbers of government workers. We're replacing them. In fact, we've reduced the federal workforce by 270,000 jobs. That's not to be mean. That's to get them off. And they are getting jobs in the private sector, and we're helping them to get jobs. But if you have all government jobs, we're going to be, a country that we don't want to mention names because we don't want to insult, but we're going to be a country that cannot be great. 100% just came out, 100% of all jobs created since I took office have been in the private sector. The only way to make our country great. Think of that. Think of that. 100% of the jobs created are in the private sector. Now, if I want to make some good numbers, I'll add 300,000 jobs. I can do it with one phone call. Each agency hire 25,000 people today. They hire them immediately. They pour in, and the 4.5% would be down to 2.5% in a matter of moments. I could get it down to zero. Hire a couple of million workers, please. Oh, the country's booming. We're down at zero. But that's the destruction of a country. That's what Biden used to do. They used to hire 10 people for one job. They'd have 10 people, would look at a job and would say one person can do the job, but let's give it a break. Let's do two and they'd have 9 people for one job. And that's really tantamount to a failed country. In 4 years, the last administration secured less than $1 trillion in new investments in our country. Think of that, 4 years, less than one. 4 years, the whole term, less than $1 trillion. In 10 months, I have secured a record-breaking $18 trillion more. They gave us doom and gloom, and I'm building the Trump economic boom. It's a boom. It's a boom. These factories, auto plants, AI plants, we've never had anything like it. I ended the radical left's war on American energy, terminated the Green New Scam, and signed an order to drill, baby, drill. We're drilling. You see where gasoline's coming down? Gasoline is now substantially lower than $2.50 a gallon, and many, many places now are under $2 a gallon for gasoline. And within the next 12 months, we will have opened 1,600 new electrical generating plants. That's a record all time. Because, we need tremendous amounts of electricity for AI and for all these plants. Electricity prices will fall very dramatically when these plants are open. To protect North Carolina workers, we imposed 25% tariffs on foreign automobiles, 50% tariffs on foreign steel, and I approved 25%, 30%, and 50% tariffs to save North Carolina's cherished furniture industry, which has been decimated by China. I used to come here a lot for one reason. I'd build hotels and I'd build different buildings and I'd come here to your furniture area. I used to love it. Those people were so talented. I'd buy so much furniture, and that was before politics. I did great. I was very good at real estate, I would tell you. But I used to come to North Carolina to buy furniture for lobbies or furniture for hotels, and I was here a lot. I mean, you've been decimated, but it's coming back now because I put tariffs on, big tariffs, actually. But I remember I'd say to a guy, I like that chair. You don't realize what I did. I would look at a chair. The arm of a chair was very important to me. I said, I like that chair, but this arm has to be a different shape. And You got to chisel that. I'm a very aesthetic person, believe me. Except with women, I don't care what a woman looks like. I used to say beautiful, now I don't care. Since politics, I never mention looks anymore. The most beautiful woman can walk right across. I don't even look at her anymore. Because in politics, that's the sign of death. We don't look. But I do look at the arm of a chair, and I'd say to your artists, they were artists. They were artisans, you know? I'd say, no, can you give a different curve? Can you do a little more carving at the end? They would, right in front of me, bing, 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 bing. They were like geniuses. You lost the business. It went to China and other places, but mostly to China, because they never put tariffs on, just like they didn't put them on chips, just like they didn't put them on cars. You lost 58% of your car industry. By the way, it's all coming back. Some of it's coming back here. It's all coming back. Because to bring a car into our country is costing 25 to 50% tariffs now, and they can't do it. They can't compete. Tariff is, and I won't say it because it gets me in trouble, my favorite word. No, I want my fifth favorite word. Do you remember when I said the word tariff is my favorite word in the dictionary? Remember that? And then the fake news got me. What about religion? What about God? What about your family? What about your wife? What about your children? I said, they got me in this one. So now tariff is my fifth favorite word. And now I'm okay. It's my fifth, 5. Now I'm okay. But starting in the new year, the people of North Carolina will also see the dramatic results of the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. No tax for our seniors. Tell me what? Let's do a poll. Because you know these pollsters charge you $1 million to ask a question, then they just write down an answer. They don't do polls. It's a total con job, some of these polls. One thing I don't like about Fox is their pollster. Total fake. Their pollster's the worst. They've been saying they're going to get rid of them for 10 years. A fake pollster, then you have the election, you win by numbers that are like through the roof. But Fox has been treating me good. They have great people there. Sean Hannity is great. Jesse is great. Laura is great. Greg is great. They're all great. We have great people. The morning is excellent. Who? What? Which corruption? Where? Oh yeah. Well, we have to do that. We're going to take care of that. We're going to take care of corruption in our country. I mean, I was talking about Fox. I don't know. He's talking about corruption. No, it's okay because he's on our side, but he's just a little ahead of me. He's talking about corruption. I'm talking about Fox, how good the anchors are, right? But they are really great. They are very good. But the pollster's no good. You know, he's no good. The pollster's terrible. But we still get good numbers. But the numbers are actually much better than that. But we're joined tonight by Heather Whitley, a bartender and server in Nashville, North Carolina, who will save over $5,000 from no tips. Think of that. From no tax and tips. Heather, where are you, Heather? Are you here, Heather? Where are you? Where are you? You want to come up? You want to come up? Come on up. She's going to save over $5,000, no tax on tips, toward a down payment on her first home. So, Heather, congratulations. Look how amazing she is, right? Come on up. I don't know how you're going to get up that stair. Are you okay? Look at her. She has no problem. Somebody else would not be able to make it. Thank you, Barry. Want to say something? Go ahead.
Well, it's been a tremendous help. It's now allowed me to invest in my first home, and that is the American dream for all of us. I don't have much to say, sir.
Good.
Thank you so much.
You said it perfectly. Thank you, Barry. Thank you. Heather, you don't realize, you said that so perfectly, because that's what it is. You're going to get a home, and you're going to
be happy as can be, and you are a great person. Thank you very much. You couldn't have been better. Thank you, darling. Also with us is Austin Harding, a police officer, highly respected, a loving father from Monroe. Austin and his wife are raising a son with autism, a beautiful son, beautiful, beautiful person, and are passionate supporters of MAHA, and they love Robert F. Kennedy Jr., so do I. And with no, thank you, Austin. And with no tax on overtime, Austin will have thousands of dollars, many thousands of dollars more to help care for his wonderful son. Last but not least, we have Carolyn and Charles Thurston, who run a successful small business providing care to senior citizens. That's great. Not only did we make their small business tax deduction permanent, helping them to expand, but under no tax on overtime, their employees will have much higher take-home pay, and that makes their job a lot easier. So, Carolyn and Charles, please stand wherever you may be. Oh, that's great. Thank you. So it's going good? Going good? Good-looking couple. Thank you very much. Another key part of our tax cuts is known as Trump accounts. You hear about that? You put money in, and they are knocking them dead. It's great. It's Michael Dell Computer. He put up $6.25 billion. How do you like that? He started with no money, and now he puts $6 billion plus into the first accounts. I mean, think of that, $6 billion. It's, to be exact, $6.25 billion. Even the second part is a lot. And we've had a lot of great Wall Street titans and a lot of great real estate titans. They're all putting money in Trump accounts. It's for kids. They get a certain age and they're going to have money. It's going to double and triple, hopefully. It'll do well. Under this new program, the federal government will be creating an investment savings account for every single newborn American child with $1,000 to be invested and grow over the course of their life. So they'll reach 21 years and, you know, it could be very good. They will consider themselves rich. I mean, it's a lot of money, actually. Friends, family, employers, and loved ones will be able to add thousands more each year, like a trust fund for every American child. It's something that people have wanted to do, but honestly, I give Mr. and Mrs. Michael Dell, go out and buy a computer from Dell, because I'll tell you what, they love the country. Great people. Every single Democrat in Congress voted against these incredible benefits. Every single Democrat said no, including a guy named Don Davis right here from this district. He voted against it. That's why you got to vote against him. Don Davis voted against no tax on overtime. He voted against no tax on tips. And he voted for the largest tax increase in American history. He wanted the largest tax, and he's your congressman. So I don't know if you know him. And honestly, I'm good at politics. I never even heard of this guy, so he hasn't made a big impact. But he voted yes on every single Biden disaster, including massive inflation, open borders, sanctuary cities, and the Green New Scam. Don Davis betrayed North Carolina. Don Davis did nothing about the flood. He did nothing about the hurricane. I did it all with your congressman and with a couple of Republicans from your state that put their lives on the line to make sure this got done. And we had to wait till January 20th. They wouldn't do a damn thing. The waters didn't recede. They were living in areas that didn't have water, and now they were surrounded by water. And by the way, Elon Musk, with his incredible, you would call it contraption of communication, incredible. I said, Elon, we need 500 of those. You couldn't get them because it's been very successful. He said, you'll have them tomorrow. You got to give him credit for that, you know. I have my little disagreements with him. I don't believe in the mandate where everybody has to have an electric vehicle within an hour. You know, I don't, but you got to give him credit. He really saved a lot of lives. Here tonight are some of the warriors who, unlike Don Davis, who's a disaster, vote against him, stood up for North Carolina, including Congressman
Tim Moore and Brad Knott. Where are you guys? Hey, fellas, come up real fast. Come on up. Come on up. I'll tell you, these guys were, look at them, two handsome gentlemen, extremely different types. That's great. Say hello. Say a couple of words. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, everybody, I was with the president when he had his first trip once he took the oath. And where did he come? North Carolina. As we gear up for the midterm cycle, where's the first state that President Trump has come? North Carolina. He knows what you know. It's the people that make this country great. It's not the government, it's not regulations, it's people just like you. And let me just tell you this, the fight is long, it's hard. I'm new to this, and I have been amazed at how hard the president is fighting for you. So let me say this simply and with my whole heart. Stay with us. We hear you, and we're going to keep fighting for you. Thank you so much.
I guess I'll have to lower the mic, Mr. President. Let me just say, echo what Brad said. I cannot think of a better president in the history of the United States. Someone who loves this country, who does so much. Mr. President, I don't know how you do it all. You make the Energizer Bunny look slow. It's absolutely incredible. The leadership that this man shows, not only in our country, but on the world stage. We are finally respected around the world again, and that is not an accident. Mr. President, North Carolina loves you. The United States loves you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Great job. Thank you. Great job. That's a great job. Boy, oh boy. Well, they're going to win good, but you got to beat that other guy. Thanks also. I want to thank somebody very special. He's the Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez DeRemer. Where's Lori? Larry, thank you. What a job. What a job you've done. Our friend did me a big favor when he recommended you. I was recommended by a great guy, a great friend of mine, and a big fan of Lori, and he said, I have somebody that would be great, and that was an understatement. You've been unbelievable. Thank you very much, Lori. Appreciate it. And another one has been incredible, got a lot of energy. Director of Federal Housing Finance Agency. He's done a phenomenal job. Mr. Bill Pulte. Bill, thank you very much. Thank you, Bill. Also, State Senator Phil Berger. Phil, thank you. Great. And we have a lot of political people here. I would like to introduce them all. Will be here, but one we have to introduce, fellas, is Michael Whatley. And he was the head of the Republican Party. Before that, he was the head of your party right here, the Republican Party, and we won 6 in a row, 3 primaries and landslides, and then we went on to win the election all 3 times. So we won 6 in a row. I've never had a loss with him. And when I won look, we did phenomenal. It turned out, we won 3 times in a row, just so you understand. I don't mean here, I mean all over. We won 3 in a row. They might have done us a favor, but we won 3 in a row. But when we got screwed in the second election, it didn't happen over here. He had 601 lawyers he hired. They had lawyers at every single ballot box, and other people were cheating in other states that we won by a lot, and they were cheating. You could see it go, here we are, pwah, pwah. You remember they have ballots. All of a sudden, we just found 75,000 ballots, a total rigged deal. And by the way, you have not heard the last of that, I can tell you. But in this state, that didn't happen because you had a guy named Michael Whatley, and he had every box secured. He had, I think, 2 or 3 lawyers at every station, but he had over 600 lawyers, I think 600. And I said, how many lawyers did you have? 601. I said, that's like genius. He was ahead of it. And you'd watch, you know, people went to bed that night. Everyone said the election's over, Trump won. And then all of a sudden they woke up in the morning, and 3 o'clock in the morning, they found hundreds of thousands of votes in some of these states. It was a rigged election, but not here because of him. And I said, I don't know if I'm doing this again, but if I'm doing this again, I want Michael Whatley. I said, the guy from North Carolina, I want him to head the Republican National Committee, the RNC. And he did it beautifully. Come on up, Michael, come up. He did it so well, and we had the big election when he worked with Laura. Now, how good is Laura? Laura Trump, who was born here, loves this state so much. She could have done very well. By the way, I think Ted Budd is doing a very good job, too, I have to tell you. And I will say this, Tom Tillis fought with me for the Lumbee tribe, the Lumbee. I love the Lumbee. And he's really been very good. You know, we had a little dispute, but these are, you know, it's fine. He's been really good. Tom has been very, very good, and I appreciate it very much. And he's been very strong on the Lumbee tribe, and I think they're going to get out and they're going to vote. The Lumbees, you have some here. You have some of the leaders here. If you could, you want to stand up if you're there? It's really great. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Let them know we appreciate it. We got to get every one of those 60,000 votes or whatever. We got to get them for this guy. But the Lumbees have been great. I've been with them from the beginning. We got them across the finish line. But I want to ask Michael to say a few words. He's just been an unbelievable warrior. And I said, if I do this again, I'm going to get that guy in North Carolina who wouldn't let that phony, you know, they tried here too. They couldn't get away with it. They tried. He stopped it. He's a tough, strong guy. He's also a wonderful human being, he's just a great person. And I want to tell you, him and Laura Trump there's never been a better team. In fact, I said, before he did this, I said, if you had your choice for anybody to be your co-chair, who would you pick? He said, I'd take Laura Trump again, right? Yes, sir. You did say that. But I'd like to have Michael say he's in a fight against a radical left governor who did a shitty job for you. And I really want you, either way, but either governor, because you have another governor that's a Democrat. You know, virtually, I think every state run by a Democrat is a failure. Think of it. And now your state with all these killings, I never heard of killings, but all of a sudden, and they came in through Biden with his open border craziness, and these are vicious people. But I want this man to say just a few words because it's so important that he wins. You don't want to have a radical left senator that basically wants to have open borders, transgender for everybody, men playing in women's sports. Michael, are you in favor of men in women's sports?
I am not.
Are you in favor of transgender for everybody?
I am not.
Are you in favor of open borders?
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You know, in 2015, Donald Trump came down that golden escalator, said he was going to make America great again. And he was going to do it by rebuilding our economy, restoring our borders, and making America respected around the world again. And I said, I'm with that guy. And we won in 2016, and we won in 2020, and thank the Lord that we won in 2024, and Donald Trump right now is serving as the most transformational president in our lifetime. And President Trump, my pledge to you is this. When I win this seat, when I am the next senator from North Carolina, I am going to be a fighter every day for this great state, I am going to be a conservative champion for North Carolina, and I am going to be an ally to our great president, not just the 45th president, but the 47th president as well, Donald J. Trump.
What a great guy he is. So get out and work for him. I hope you can get your group of about 70 women to go out and do it. We can get all the front rows, and we got to win. He's a good man. And he represents your values, that I can tell you. But I also want to express my condolences to the people of this state and to the loved ones of NASCAR legend Greg Biffle, who perished yesterday in a tragic plane crash with his family in Statesville. I met him twice. He was just a great young man. And what a tragedy that is with his whole family. So I just want to pay our condolences, our love. Please. I'll tell you, North Carolina will never forget them. He was, and his family were incredible people. Together, we've achieved more in less than 1 year than most other administrations achieved in 8 years, which is true. Most of them didn't achieve much. Within a matter of weeks, we ended the invasion of our southern border. For the past 7 months, 0 illegal aliens have been allowed into our country. Think of that, 0. And that's made up by Democrats. A feat which everyone said was impossible. Biden and the radical left Democrats in Congress turned North Carolina into a dumping ground for tens of thousands of third world migrants, driving up your rent and your housing costs. According to a government report, over 60% of growth in the rental market came from foreign migrants, paid for by the federal government, by the way. Paid for by the federal government, you, the taxpayer. Mass migration fueled mass inflation, but now we are fixing it, and we have record-setting deportations, and we're really focused on the bad people. We're really focused on the bad people. We have farmers who are great people. They know what they're doing. But we're focused on the bad ones. We're getting the murderers, the drug dealers. We're getting the ones from prisons. We're getting them the hell out of here. We're focused very strongly on that. For the first time in 50 years, we're seeing reverse migration as migrants go back home. We're saying, go back home, please. And we want the bad ones to go back home because those are the ones that caused the problem. And think of Washington, D.C. So, I mean, outside of the terrorism attack from 3 weeks ago. And by the way, that young, beautiful man is doing well. You know, we thought we lost both of them. And we lost one who's looking down on us right now. But looks like he just stood up. Can you believe it? He stood up today for the first time. Two great people. Sarah's looking down on us, and from heaven, she was incredible, doing so well. But he's doing, they were both about the same. We thought we lost both of them. Hit in the same area, if you can believe it. He was hit hard. But and his mother, Monica, I spoke to her the night of, sir, he'll be okay. Every doctor was saying he doesn't have much of a chance. And she said, sir, I'm telling you, I know my boy, he's going to be fine. I can't believe it. And literally, actually yesterday, he stood up and he's talking a little bit. I mean, the whole thing is incredible. The mother, I've never seen anybody. I never saw anything like it. She was so positive. She said, I'm praying, and everybody's praying, the whole country's praying, and there's no way he's going to have any problem. He's going to be just fine. It's not even that he was going to make it. It was like, he's going to be fine. Incredible person. In the year before my election, all net job creation was going to foreign migrants, all of it, 100%. Since I took office, 100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens. The migrant invasion also brought massive crime. What's happening with the killings in North Carolina is indescribable. I mean, for the first time, you're in national news all the time with the killings. That's because you're run by Democrats. 2 weeks ago, an illegal alien from Honduras who entered under Biden walked onto a train in Charlotte with a large knife and brutally stabbed a passenger multiple times in the chest. The same savage criminal alien had previously been arrested 2 months earlier but he was released by authorities to pillage and kill, which he did. Also recently in this state, you saw this one. Nobody could watch it. Another monstrous criminal with 14 prior arrests plunged a knife into the throat of an innocent young, beautiful girl, Ukraine. She was from Ukraine, who was sitting on a train. You could see she was scared to be there. You could see that, right? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. She walked onto the train. She was afraid to be there. What happened to North Carolina? You didn't have that condition. And then she was attacked from behind violently by this savage. No one can ever forget that look of shock and terror on the young woman's face. It happened so fast as her murderer walked down the train car, dripping with blood all over. Passengers are looking at him. They're saying, what is that? There's blood pouring out from every part of him, from the knife. For years, radical left politicians have been releasing bloodthirsty, violent offenders and criminal aliens back onto your streets under our leadership. We're finally getting illegal aliens and vicious felons off the streets and throwing them out of our country, or in some cases, putting them in the toughest jails in the world because, frankly, we don't want to let them into their country because we don't want to take a chance that these animals will come back. We're restoring law and order in America. We just made a record investment in our military and gave every service member a warrior dividend of $1,776, 1776. And I'm also pleased to announce that just 2 hours ago, we hit the ISIS thugs in Syria who were trying to regroup after their decimation by the Trump administration 5 years ago. We hit them hard. I ordered a massive strike on the terrorists that killed our 3 great patriots last week. 2 soldiers, 1 interpreter, all great people. And it was very successful. It was precision. We hit every site flawlessly, and we are restoring peace through strength. We're all over the world. I settled 8 wars in 10 months, destroyed the Iran nuclear threat, ended the war in Gaza, and got the release of hostages, both living and dead, and created peace in the Middle East. We have peace in the Middle East, first time in 3 years, peace in the Middle East. I cut federal funding for any school that pushes critical race theory or transgender insanity. And we completely banned the chemical and surgical mutilation of children. Can you believe I'm standing here, 2025, talking about I banned the surgical mutilation of children? Could you imagine 15 years ago saying that? People would say, this guy's crazy. What the hell is he talking? The surgical mutilation of children, I banned it. And it's a wonderful thing I did, but can you imagine having to even say it? Or can you imagine having to say that we are keeping men out of women's sports? Frankly, that's less important if you want to know the truth, but it's very important. The surgical mutilation I had to ban, and I did, I banned it. But we're also keeping men out of women's sports. Have you seen some of these records? Have you seen the long distance race? One of these races go all day. They had champion women, they had some very good men, but not the champions. And one man won the race by 5 hours and 14 minutes and 12 seconds. 5 hours, 14 minutes. Think of that. Won the race by 5 hours. What do? Your parents go back home, go to sleep for a few hours, and come back and meet your daughter, and she's supposed to be thrilled? What kind of crap is that? Or the weightlifting records, where people that never lifted a weight before are going into the women who are fighting national championships, almost Olympic championships, and they're lifting 112 pounds more, and they've never done it before. Or the boxers that are getting decimated. You saw the Olympics where they had 2 people that they converted from men to women. They did a conversion. And the one young woman from Italy, a championship boxer, she got hit by a left jab. A left jab, for those that don't do it's just like a defensive punch. She got hit. She walked to her corner. She said, I've never been hit like that. I quit. Then they said, no, go out. You can do it. And then he gave her another left jab. That was it. And she said, nope, I can't do it. It's so demeaning to women. And they don't stop. I saw the other day on one of the shows, I think Meet the Fake Press. I'm pretty sure it was that stupid show. And they had a congressman that you all know, a Democrat, saying, no, we have to allow men to play in women's sports. Where do these people come from? Or how about open borders? They're fighting for open borders. If I didn't get elected, our country would be ruined. We would have not had a country. I'm telling you, I'm not bragging about myself. I'm saying we would not have had a country. And now we have the greatest country in the world. I'm telling you, hottest. We're the hottest. We're restoring the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley in beautiful Alaska. That they took the name off and they named it something else. And I renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Right? That was a good one. Well, you know, I checked for my whole life. I don't know. I guess I didn't do it in my first term because I was the hunted. I had bigger problems. I had these animals trying to attack me at Mar-a-Lago. They went into my wife's closet. And I'll say this, number one, it's very bad, but it sounds a little strange. They looked at her drawers. You have drawer, and then you have drawer. They looked at both. And she's a very meticulous person, you know, like these people, just like she'd fit into your group very well. She'd be very happy with her, but everything is perfect. Her undergarments, I want to use a nice, sometimes referred to as panties, are folded, perfect, wrapped. They're like so perfect. I say, that's beautiful. You know, it's the part of the world she came from. Everything was perfect, no problem. Fold, fold, fold. I think that she steams them, make sure. Just that we came home. I wasn't there when the raid took place. The raid of a popular president, a former president. She opened the drawers and it was not that way. They were a mess. It was all over the place. And she said, oh, what happened? That's so terrible. But it's terrible. They went into my young boy's room. These thugs are disgusting, and we cannot let them get away with this stuff. We have all the evidence now. We have all the evidence, and we have to do something about it. We have to do something about it. It's illegal, and it's disgusting. You know, I brought a lawsuit, and I'm winning the lawsuit. There's only one problem. I'm the one that has to settle it. In other words, I am suing, and I'm the one that's supposed to settle it. So maybe I'll give myself $1 billion and give it all to charity. Does that make sense? You know, I'll give it to charity. Do you have any nice charities? I have to settle the lawsuit. There's never been a case like this. Trump suit, I sued a long time ago, and it's doing fine. It's a suit, and now, you know, we found all this stuff. Did you see where the FBI didn't want to do it, but the Justice Department forced them to do it? The FBI guys didn't want to do it, but the thugs and the DOJ wanted to do it. So I sued them, and and they do say that, you know, it's never been a case like this. Donald Trump sues the United States of America. Donald Trump becomes president, and now Donald Trump has to settle the suit. I hereby give myself $1 billion. Actually, maybe I shouldn't give it to charity. Maybe I should keep the money. No, a lot of people say, do it. No, I don't want to do it. But whatever happens, it's all going to good charities. Is that okay? It's all going to good charities. But isn't that a strange position to be in? I've got to make a deal. I negotiate with myself. From the skyscrapers of Charlotte to the rolling hills of Asheville, from the sand dunes of Kitty Hawk to the streets of Chapel Hill, and from the factories of Hickory to the small towns and family farms across your beautiful countryside in North Carolina, We are bringing prosperity, opportunity, and pride surging back to your incredible home. Together, we're pairing all these people together. You're coming together. You know, it's coming together like nobody's ever seen, but we're fixing 4 years of disaster and decline. The whole world was laughing at us for 4 years. They were laughing, taking advantage of us, friend and foe. And the friend was worse than the foe in many cases. On trade, they were worse. And we're beginning the greatest years in the history of our country. It's called the Golden Age of America. That's what's happening. We were a dead country. Now we're talking about the Golden Age of America. Think of it in 10 months. Think of that. So in conclusion, tonight, after just 11 months, our border is secure. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. And America is back. And every single day of this administration, we will keep on working for the hardworking citizens of America. We will fight, fight, fight. We will win, win, win. And with your help, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, North Carolina. God bless you all. And Merry Christmas.
All right, so that went almost exactly 90 minutes. He walked on stage a little bit early, so it was actually about 90 minutes that he spoke. Wow. I don't know where this guy gets this energy. 90 minutes. And I just got to tell you, it wasn't until he just said that something just dawned on me. Light bulbs just went off. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I'm going to confirm with a couple different people I know. I'm going to call JJ. What he just said there was he's suing himself. And some of you probably are trying to understand, how is he suing himself? Well, before he got elected, he sued the federal government for what they did. The raid and the cheating, civil rights, all kinds of different lawsuits against the federal government. Then he gets elected in January, or rather inaugurated in January. And so he, in essence, at that point, is now suing himself. He was suing the government, now which he is the head of the government. I can't even imagine the complexities of that kind of lawsuit. So I would think, and I'm just supposing right now, that if I was suing the federal government, part of me suing the federal government is I would need all of this evidence to come out. And so we just found out literally 2 or 3 days ago that the entire DOJ thing with Jack Smith was BS. That the FBI just determined that the raid was not warranted. I don't know if Cash uncovered it. I don't know if Dan Bongino uncovered it, but whatever was uncovered, they now know that the raid was not done within the auspices of the FBI, but rather Merrick Garland wanted to do it anyway. So before I can go and arrest some of these guys for what they did, I first have to make sure that this lawsuit for, as he said, $1 billion gets adjudicated and settled. I don't know where they are in the stage of that lawsuit, since it's been probably going on for some time, but there's a reason why he just disclosed that. I'm suing myself. And I even thought, what do you mean oh shit, excuse my language. You started the lawsuit before you were president. Now you're president. Pam Bondi is now your DOJ, head of the Attorney General, which means the settlement, whatever it's going to be, has to be approved by you. And so to keep it a completely arm's length thing, I don't think you want to start arresting the people that you are suing. This is an entire different thing now that I think we need to talk to some attorneys and go, wait a second, if you're a participant in a lawsuit and you also now have the ability to arrest certain people, how does that affect your lawsuit? And you want to see the Democrats scream if Pam Bondi settles with Donald Trump, the citizen, and they settle with for $1 billion, they're going to lose their effing minds. And I'm thinking to myself, this is so intricate where things are right now. And most of us probably didn't know that was the case. He just said it tonight. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. He did file suit. And so everything that's being uncovered right now, not only is it going to contribute to their criminal case, all this evidence is being contributed or is contributing to his civil case. And it's never going to see a jury because he controls the person that he's suing. Put it this way. Imagine somebody slipped in your driveway and they sued you. And that person goes ahead and sues you. And then they move into your house and get married to your son-in-law, your son. And so you got to settle with your son-in-law, or your daughter-in-law rather, who's now part of your family. This is some really delicate play. I've never even thought of that. He's in a major lawsuit against the federal government as Donald Trump, the citizen. So every single thing that we've seen since the time before he got elected, is he suing for lack of protection in Butler? Is he suing over the raid? Is he suing Letitia James for violating his civil rights? Is he suing James Comey for violating his civil rights? Because now we know the FBI had no reason to go. Is Chris Wray being sued? And he gets to settle, essentially, his own lawsuit. And it never goes to court to get overturned because they're not going to complain. If you got sued and the jury said, hey, listen, you got to pay Fred $1 million, well, you're going to appeal it. You're going to try not to have to pay it. But if they settle, it's him. He's never going to get it to court. He's just going to get the money. And that was a whole different thing that he just said. I've never thought of it. And he goes, I just got to figure out what the number's going to be. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to talk to some lawyers. How many people have I haven't heard anybody discuss this. Nobody. So think of it this way. They go ahead and they do the settlement. And they settle out of court because he's not going to take it to court, and they're going to find that the government's going to pay him $1 billion or $2 billion. And it's no third party can sue because it's the government. And then once he settles the lawsuit, then all these people can, now I don't need you as evidence. This is some otherworldly legal stuff right now. I have never thought of it. I didn't know how. Wow. So John says, Barry, you're getting deep because I'm not a lawyer. If you guys know lawyers, this is none of us. You tell me, did you know this before he just said it? I'm like, wait a second. You're suing. Oh, you run the government. Didn't think of that. Barry, this is truly poetic justice. That was the first time he really got in deep. They went in my wife's underwear. They picked up her drawers. They violated her to the nth degree, and she's very meticulous with her panties. Those women here watching this, you guys know what you think about your panty drawer. My wife doesn't even let me go into her panty drawer. You don't need to be in there. Well, I'm in here looking. No. You don't need to be in that drawer. And she folded. I mean, he went into great detail. She folds it a certain way. She likes to keep it this way. And they violated my wife. That was the first time I actually felt that he is definitely going to be doing it. Now it's just a matter of time when it comes, because the look at his face is, you went in my wife's underwear drawer. You can't violate her more unless it was an all-out physical assault. She had to come home and see her most intimate of things, just people's paws were all over them. Some of you guys are probably saying, that's no big deal. I mean, we'll go through my underwear drawer. You ask your wife. You ask your wife if she wants strange men's hands going rifling through her underwear drawer. I bet you, I bet your wife will tell you, no. Oh, man. Oh, Data says, hands off our panties. Protest. Yes, sir, Barry. That is a forbidden drawer for husbands. You can't do it. In fact, I even know, don't even look in the top two drawers. Just if I got to find something, go look. And I don't need to be finding anything, because she'll tell you there's nothing in there you want. Don't even go look in this entire dresser. Nothing with your name anywhere over here. You have to be married long enough to know that. You see, that's a violation. Yeah. I'm looking at the comments from the women. I couldn't even imagine. It is now Pantygate. He just said it. Oh my gosh. What? And it just came out of nowhere. We think. Wow. All right, everybody. I forgot I'm supposed to draw some silver, so I'm going to need a few minutes because SV said that the silver link has expired. So I've got to turn it back on. So I'm going to put a song on some music while I go configure. And then as soon as I get everything reconfigured, it should just take me a couple minutes. I'll be back and we'll give away, before you guys leave, 5 or 6, we'll do 5. We'll do 5 ounces of silver. So I will be back as soon as I get this thing configured. Talk amongst yourself right now, please.
There's somewhere to be every night of the week. Seems God ain't close as he used to be. And there's more tequila in this old town than pines in Tennessee. I ain't the man I thought I'd be. And these neon lights that keep me up got me thinking maybe mom and dad had it right all along. We're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, living in our hometown. Mississippi, you find a girl and get married before you're 20. But I've been...
All right, so I'm all set up so we can do this. Let's go ahead and go here. Let's randomly pick one new winner, and boom, who's the winner? Olivia Gorial. Olivia, hold on, let me move that up so you can see it. Olivia Gorial, winner number 1. Ashley, if Ashley's not here, one of you guys could write that down. Olivia Gorial is a winner of an ounce of silver, which today is about $60+. let's go with another one. And where is it go? Where's the button? Where's the button? Oh, life draw. Okay, we're going to do it again. And the winner of this one with the confetti is Paula Albright. Paula Albright, you have won an ounce of silver. Let's go to the next one and click the button and click another button and confetti. Jeffrey. Jeffrey didn't put his name, so Jeffrey, I hope, well, I know he put his email, so we'll hold on Jeffrey until we can verify his email. Because Jeffrey just said, my name's Jeffrey. Come on, Jeffrey. You got to do better than that, bro. Let's go with two more, just because. And confetti. Kathy Thatcher. Kathy Thatcher, you have won. And let's do one more. One more for Friday night. Let's randomly pick it. And boom. And it's Strawberry Royster. Strawberry Royster. That's the next one. So Strawberry Royster, congratulations. All the winners tonight. Thank you guys very much for playing and getting on here. Expect an email from Ashley, and she's going to get a hold of you to get your address and all that kind of good stuff. We got to get your address because can't ship an ounce of silver without, basically having someplace to ship it. So make sure if you get an email from Ashley that you respond so we can get that out to you. But congratulations, and we'll keep doing it next week, give out some more. Nice Christmas. Like 5 people just got a decent Christmas present. I consider it decent, $50-$60. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. All right, so let me do super chats before we get out of here. Okay, here we go. Thomas, good evening. Good evening to you. Nathan Hardcastle, I don't think when you mix politics and medicine, you get politics. I think that when you mix politics and medicine, you get eugenics. That's funny. Mick-a-Rod, off topic. Could you play the Irish fight song? Oh, you had to hit me like that, huh, bro? You this is the fight song for Notre Dame? Did you really come hard at me like that, bro? I thought we were boys, man. Jacob, thank you. Neo, hello. Great rally. Love Trump. He's energized. Bring it on, Democrats. Thanks for sharing this event. Thank you. I don't know how this guy talks for 90 minutes. Crazy. Tania, Barry, thank God we have you and your brilliant mind. I don't know. I just, as he said it, it just struck me. As he said it, like I tell you, I listen very hard and I listen to the words that the man says because I know from knowing him and reading his books, he is very meticulous in what he says. That's why some of the people in his organization don't like him going off script. Well, to him, he's not going off script. He knows exactly what he wants to say. And so I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who just turned their head and went, what did he just say? Where did that come from? You just happened to just drop that, yeah, I'm in charge of settling my own lawsuit. That's fantastic. Tim says, my drawers wouldn't hold up to being handled rough during a raid. Maybe your boxers. And then Jacob, I can barely see you at the bottom there. Hold on, let me see. Okay, there's Jacob. I in for silver. All right, yeah, get in there. All right, everybody. Tomorrow, I don't know, depending on what the wife's got planned, I may do something later in the afternoon, maybe 5-ish or 6. We'll see. Depends on what news comes out. I've checked President Trump's schedule, and he's got nothing on his schedule for tomorrow or Sunday. But as we know, that doesn't really mean much of anything. He could just, I don't know, decide to seize a tanker or whatever else. By the way, I did want to say something to you. I'll show it. I will do a video tomorrow. But the Democrats are all over Twitter saying the entire Epstein file release was nothing. It was all redacted. I just want you to know they're lying. I just want you to know they're saying that because they don't want to tell anybody what really was found, what was really shown to people. So they're telling everybody it was fully redacted. There was nothing to see here. Well, well. The bots and shills are in all-out panic. They are desperately flooding the comments, trying to establish the narrative that there is nothing new in the files. Nothing. It's a dump and it's all redacted. I, in fact, saw a couple people from CNN saying it was 100% redacted. Except for Slick Willie. There's all kinds of pictures with Slick Willie appearing to do some untoward things. But they don't want you to know that. It's completely redacted. Well, when you get off of here, you want to go look and put in, Epstein Files Clinton and see some of these pictures that just popped up. Did you find it odd that he mentioned Hillary tonight and said something? I would hate to go home to that woman. If that wasn't availed to Bill, Bill, I'd hate to be you right about now. Sorry about your luck, Bill. You got to go home to her, huh? If you're not home already. Is anybody doing a wellness check on Bill? Because these pictures, I'm going to let you see for yourself so these people don't get pissed off. But Bill looks like he's having a good old time. You'll see it for yourself. Check it out. Talk to you guys probably tomorrow.
Was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in a fields where they lay, keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east, beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing.